All right, let's check through the first 23 questions on the sample test that I gave you for practice for the MCAs. And let's get going. On this first one, it says which of the following has a mean? All right, mean, average, meaning you're adding them all up and totaling and you get 20. So whatever you get for this total, you're going to divide by 7. I believe each one of these has 7 in there. And you get 20 for an answer, which means really this number on top has to be 140, and the correct answer is D. Number 2. Now I think on your copy you may have been given this actual answer, but when you calculate this out, it asks you if you were making a circle graph, what is the angle that represents the portion of his rent? Well, it's 2,000 over 8,000, which is the same as 1/4. So you need 1/4 of the circle. Okay, but they're not asking for the fraction. They want to know how many degrees that is. So you need to take 1/4 of a full 360 degrees to get 90. Or if you draw a picture, you'd see that's a 90-degree angle. On number 3, this symbol means absolute value. The absolute value of something is simply the distance from 0 on the number line. So this one should be positive 9b. And number 4, the last one on this page, the point 2, -3 is located right there at point D. All right, turn the page. Number 5. This one has a little bit of a trick to it. So if you start setting this up and you see that the scale is 120, this is always the model to the real jet, and you come over here and you say the model is 1.5 feet, here's X. You might solve and say, oh, I get 30 feet for my answer, but you're not quite done because look at the nasty way they wrote this. This is the key word right there. Inches. So if you put 30 feet, you were correct in that length, but the question asks you to convert this into inches. So you'd have to take 30 times 12 to get 360 inches. Next, number 6. Brandon is given these 4 numbers to create fractions. One of them will be non-terminating. Non-terminating means it does not terminate. It does not stop. A is exactly 0.5. That stops. Look at C. 16 over 2 is exactly 8. That stops. 19 over 2 is 9.5. As a decimal, it's 9.5. That stops. This is 0.3 repeating. It's B. Number 7. On this one, you have to set up a proportion. This is one with her height and the shadow. So if you set it up as 50 over 36, this is Megan's height to the shadow. Then the office building has a shadow. The key here is that 25 has to go on the bottom because this is the shadow, and you're finding this. And when you cross multiply and solve, you will find out that it should be about 35 feet. Number 8. Here's your scale. That tells you right away you can set up a proportion. 2 centimeters represents 3 feet. So if the real car windshield is 6 feet, you simply have to find this. You can either cross multiply or notice to be directly proportional. You just double both of those and you should get B for number 8. On number 9, this one is another one of these nasty tricky ones because it says Roberto is taking 3.25 hours and he's running a 10K race. Using that same speed or that same rate, how long would it be for a 3K race? And you find this. When you cross multiply, you get almost 1. You end up with something like 0.975, but that's hours, and none of these are in hours. So you need to convert this, which is almost 1 hour, into minutes, and it's going to be almost exactly 60 minutes, and you should choose B. Number 10. Oh, here we go again. See how nasty they word these. Which number is not equivalent to this? Well, this is exactly 1/5. So this one is equal to A. It is also equal to B. And when you get to looking at this one, 20% is the same as 20 hundredths, which is also 1/5. D is the one that is not equivalent to that. And you know what? If you thought about what 40% means, it means 40 out of 100, then it'd be really clear that this is not the same as that one. All right, moving on to number 11. All right, when it says find the percent of the decrease, you have to say how much did it change, find that quantity and put it on top, and divide it by the original. All right, so when you take and subtract those two, you end up with about $408 or something like that. This will give you a decimal, and then you need to convert it into a percent, which will be B. Number 12, there are, this is assuming you remember something about these now. There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, and there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram. So really, you have to basically take this and divide by what would in effect be, well, let's see here. If I have my grams are in the middle, and then you have deca and hecto and then kilo, if I remember building this correctly. And then it was deci and centi. Oh, I might have this backwards for what we're doing. And basically you're moving the decimal point. I think I have this the wrong way. When we built it, I put kilo at the bottom, so then it was more of, here's gram. And then you can slide your decimal point, deci, centi, milli. Here we go. And basically, because it's in powers of 10, you're going from basically milligrams down this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places to the left, and you should choose B. 13, this is round, so that means we're doing circle. They're talking about area. Area of a circle is pi times radius, or radius squared. I'll write it out this way because here's the problem. These are diameters, so the first thing I need you to think of is what each of these radii would be, and then basically plug it in, but you cannot go over 50. And when you plug in a radius of 4, you're going to go slightly over 50, which is why you have to choose B. 14, on this one, we're talking volume. On your formula sheet, you are given this generic formula for volume. Because it is a round canister or a cylinder that we're using here, you're thinking, well, my base is a circle, and then times the height. The height is 12. It says the diameter is 10 centimeters. That means your radius is 5. And then you can go ahead and plug in 3.14 for that. When you plug this all in, you end up with a value that's over 9,000 something. You get like 9,400, something like that. And you will fill 9 cans full, and you'll still have some left over. And you'll have one partial jar or canister. And so that's why you have to choose C. For 15, let me get there. This is pausing, so I gotta wait until this catches up here a minute.